you can now enjoy the rest of the movie for what it is. I'm actually trying to make the movie experience better for you than it was for me. See, I'm trying to help you when you complain. Her brother being a CGI monster, he can move around and attack the Suicide Squad while Enchantress is just in the background, popping and locking and doing all this stuff like she's a freaking crazy belly dancer. I'm Enchantress, follow me. She's probably listening to that Purple Lamborghini song. She probably had some headphones in her ears, and the whole time she was doing this, she was like, Mercy, drop that beat, blah, 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 blah. And then all the bubble wrap looking black people, not black people, but like the actual color black bubble wrap people, they're actually real people. She makes out with them, and that's what turns them into that thing. And for me, I would say, hey man, if turning into that thing is what I have to do to be able to make out with characters, that's a sacrifice I'm willing to make. But that's basically Suicide Squad's way of being PG-13. We're killing a bunch of people, but because they look like black bubble pop people, and it's cool. It's alright. I can slice their head off or shoot them or beat them with a baseball bat. It's cool. They're real people, but it's cool because they look like not real people. PG-13. Just even the whole setup of like, oh, she's this archaeologist and she found this weird statue and then she ripped its head off, which released the Enchantress. Like, what archaeologist finds an ancient thing and then goes, rip, and that thing starts floating around and then put it in your mouth, put it in your mouth, put chips in your mouth. Wow, I took it back. Why was that song not in the soundtrack of this movie? I'm sorry if I keep harping on Enchantress. Honestly, I just don't know why that character didn't work for me. I mean, Cara Delevingne, I didn't have a problem with her as a person. I just felt like that character is bringing magic into Suicide Squad so early. I just felt like that was a big misstep. Because the things that I really love about this movie are the small scale stuff. The characters, the things they do together, their camaraderie, their interaction with each other. That's the stuff that I really like about this movie. One of my absolute favorite scenes in this movie is the bar scene, where they sit in the bar and they just talk to each other. And the movie feels like it feels like a break. It feels like a little break time for everybody after all the craziness with this movie, both the good and the bad. There's not crazy pop songs playing loudly in the background. It's not a lot of action or CGI going on. It's literally all the characters sitting down and just talking to each other. And you learn a lot of stuff about them. You learn that Deadshot is an assassin, but he never kills women and children. We learn about Diablo's backstory, which is a really well done backstory about how he's had this demonic power of being able to do fire, and he decided to use it to make him more powerful in his neighborhood, but at the same time, he had this family, this wife and children that he loved. Eventually the two collided, and the rage got to him so much after being confronted about it by his wife that he couldn't control his fire, and he burned his house down, and he burned his wife and his children, which I thought that was a very deep thing. And what I really liked was after you get this tragic story, and everyone you're thinking is going to be like, oh my god, I'm sorry, it looks so sad. Harley Quinn just right off the bat just goes, own that shit. And she goes into this whole tirade about, look, we are messed up people. We are not allowed to have a wife and kids. We're not allowed to have your daughter, Deadshot. We're not allowed to have the relationship that she has with the Joker being a normal relationship. They are crazy, messed up, bad people, so they don't deserve the sweet, simple, domestic parts of life that most people get to enjoy. And I also love the part, and even though it was very subtle, I love that they talked about how they were ugly on the inside but beautiful on the outside, except for Killer Croc. And Killer Croc's like, I'm beautiful. I even like that, because usually when you see a character in these types of movies and they have some kind of deformity or something wrong with them, it's always this whole, oh, I'm moping and I don't know what to do. And I'm like, this is amazing. Superman has all the craziest powers in the world and can save the world, and he's all sitting around moping all the time. In 2 movies, Killer Croc looks like a half crocodile. He's just like, whatever, I'm a beautiful man. Turn on some BET, let me look at some ass. It's just a really good scene, and it shows the absolute best part of this movie is that cast and those characters, and they work together. There was even a very funny part when Rick Flag is like, you know what, you guys are done, you can go. And Captain Boomerang just runs out of that thing so fast. It's weird because he rejoins the team right after it with no explanation whatsoever, but at least that part was funny. It does get a little sappy at the end when Rick Flag gives Deadshot letters that his daughter wrote, because I'm like, why did you have those letters on you right now in the middle of a mission? But it still was a very good scene. Yeah, this movie just works best when it's at a small scale. Like, you could have taken this squad on a suicide mission that wasn't a save the world type of mission, and I think it would have worked. Or maybe the Suicide Squad should have went on a mission that was not the Enchantress mission first, succeeded or failed in that mission, and then that could have led to the events that we eventually get to. Just something that would have shown more of them working together without putting the plot into it, so we can just get more interactions with these characters. Because like I said, that's what works best about this. And let me just say about this movie, and sorry if this feels social justice-y, I just love that there was just a variety of different faces in this movie. It was a diverse cast, and it was a diverse cast that didn't have to point out it was a diverse cast. It just happened to be the way that it was. And not even just the main cast, just the city itself. When you saw people in the background, it just felt like it was a nice mix of color on the screen, in addition to the colors that were splatting all over the screen. There's been so many talks about movies lately, particularly superhero comic movies. Are they showing enough women? Are they showing enough diversity? And this and the other. It was just nice with this one that you didn't even have to question it. It just was there. It wasn't even pointed out that much. It just happened. Yeah, man, the squad's really good in this movie, except for Slipknot, but it's not Slipknot's problem. They did Slipknot wrong, man. In the movie, they tell you that they put these devices inside the Suicide Squad, so if they step out of line, they do anything wrong, all they gotta do is pull out an app, press their face on the app, and then kaboom, their head explodes. As Harley Quinn points out, it's a killer app, which was a lame joke, but I laughed at it. I'm sorry, I thought it was funny. Boomerang talks to Slipknot's like, hey man, we should get out of here. We should just leave. And Slipknot leaves. Boomerang does not leave. And Slipknot dies. Y'all did Slipknot wrong. It's almost not even a spoiler to know that Slipknot dies. The movie pretty much tells you this guy's gonna die. Because they do this whole beginning sequence of like, here's every character from the Suicide Squad. They get a trading card stat frame, and then they get a music video for a little bit of showing what their backstory is. And everybody gets that except for Slipknot. Slipknot shows in about 20, 30 minutes of the movie and go, oh yeah, this is Slipknot. He's part of the team too. And you're just like, okay, red shirt. Personally, that's why I was worried the whole time about Katana. I thought Katana was going to die in this thing because we don't see her until even later in the movie. But she does not die. Nor does she have a lot of scenes, but she does not die. I like Joker and Harley together the few times that we get it, but you can feel that there's a little bit more to their relationship that is great and also twisted that they really didn't get into. Joker and Harley have always had a messed up relationship. Even in the animated series, there were times when Harley Quinn almost shot and killed the Joker because she just had enough, but of course the gun would pop a little flag out and go bang, and then Joker, you think would be mad, he just goes, baby, you're the greatest. Their relationship is messed up, and it's too bad this movie had so much it had to do that you couldn't really focus on that. That's almost a movie, or at least a part of like a Batman movie or something else in itself. I hope that when Harley Quinn gets her eventual spin-off movie, then that maybe they can explore that origin a little bit more while also giving us more of Harley Quinn, because I feel like that she was really good and Margot Robbie was really good at portraying Harley Quinn. I think you can even go a little bit more crazy with her. Just more just that Harley that I love from the animated series. But they weren't alone in this movie. There were some cameos. We all knew about Batman showing up. We knew that Batman was going to have some interaction with the Joker and Harley Quinn. But what I didn't know was that Batman was also going to have some interaction with Deadshot. You get a whole scene of Deadshot's backstory of how he got caught, which he was with his daughter. He does not have full custody of his daughter because, you know, he's an assassin. Kills people. But because he's such a good shot, he's hard to stop. So Batman actually confronts Deadshot while he's with his daughter. Of course, Deadshot wants to shoot Batman instantly, but his daughter is like, no, you know, you can't kill people because you killing people is the reason why we're not together to begin with. Of course, Deadshot's daughter is his weakness, so he gives himself up to Batman, which you can tell he really hates about it. And you even find out later when there's this whole scene with Enchantress saying, I can give you anything you want, even though it's all illusions. The illusion that Deadshot has is killing Batman. It's a really powerful scene because you can see how much love that Deadshot, or Will Smith in this case, is acting, how he feels for his daughter, how he loves his daughter so much that he's willing to turn himself in, but at the same time, you can tell he's like, Batman, seriously? You gonna do this in front of my daughter? You know what you did, right? You know you got a mark on your head for that. You know that, right? If they're gonna make a Batman movie, I'm just saying, this scene, keep that in mind. I kind of like the idea of maybe Deadshot sneaking his way out of the Suicide Squad for a little bit and ending up in that Batman movie as a rival to Batman. I think that would be really, really cool. Because it's Will Smith, it'll probably be a thing of like, well, we don't like each other, but there's a greater evil out there, so we have to work together this time, but then I'm back to going away and still hating you. Kind of like how they do sometimes with Batman and Catwoman. I can see that happening, but at the same time, I think a Ben Affleck Batman and a Will Smith Deadshot in the same movie that's focused around them would be really good. Just throw out there, Warner Brothers, DC. You know, seems like you can pretty much do whatever you want at this point. So give it a shot. take a risk. We also get the Flash in this movie. We found out that the Flash stops Captain Boomerang, so that was kind of interesting. I did not expect the Flash at all, so it was kind of a nice surprise to see him in there. Shows they really try to drop these pieces of the Justice League to eventually get to that movie. But the big piece that we get to really connect to that movie is in the mid-credits scene where Bruce Wayne meets up with Amanda Waller. Of course, Amanda Waller has all this information about these metahumans and villains that she's captured. So Bruce Wayne is like, well, if you got all this information, Amanda Waller, about these evil people with special abilities, you must have some information about some other people out there with special abilities. Can I get a copy of that? And so she gives him this binder, and it has information about the Flash and Aquaman in it. I don't know why he necessarily needs information, because we thought that he got this information already from the stuff he got from Lex Luthor and the email that he sent to Wonder Woman, but maybe he just needed some more detail. Plus, it's more scenes with Amanda Waller, so I'm cool with it. My favorite part of this scene, the one that just made that part of my spine just go, ooh, was when Bruce Wayne's about to walk outside of this steak restaurant, which I guess that's the only place where Amanda Waller eats, because she's in that restaurant more than once in this movie. But he's about to leave, and she just goes, hey, Bruce, you're looking a little tired. Maybe you should stop working nights. And I was just like, damn! Amanda Waller, man. Because you like, whoa, wait a minute. Is she saying that because Bruce Wayne is an eccentric billionaire and a businessman, and she's thinking that he's working nights as a businessman? Or is she saying that because she's like, I'm freaking Amanda Waller. I know you're Batman. You can't fool me. I know everything. Either way, it was one of those perfect lines that it's like, it tells you something, but it doesn't put the bullseye right on it, and you're just like, Amanda Waller. That is what makes you interesting, and that's why you need to be in pretty much every DC movie from here on out. I don't know what contract Viola Davis has with DC about these movies, but she needs to be in all of them. All of them. Common is in this movie, for some reason. That's it. I didn't really know how bad critics were being about this movie. When I filmed the video, I just had heard that the critics were not liking Suicide Squad. We could do this whole critic-fan debate, and I didn't want to get into it because of all the craziness I went through with Ghostbusters. But let me be the one to tell you, and this is straight from my heart, like straight up honesty. This movie does not deserve that low of a score. To put this movie on the same scale with Green Lantern, I have seen people who usually don't even do the whole critic versus fan debate come out and say, I know what the critics are talking about. It's one thing when the hardcore fanboys are saying, this is insane. But when I know sensible, level-headed, chilled-out people who are going to see this movie and going, yeah, them critics are wrong. This is a straight-up popcorn flick type of movie. Its plot is all over the place because it's just your basic mainstream summer movie type of plot. That's his big problem with it. Some of you will not even be that concerned about the plot and will enjoy the whole thing, and you have every right to. Some people will not be able to forgive that plot, or they may not like the stylistic choices that this movie has made and not enjoy it. And I understand all of those thoughts. Bottom line, if you like superhero movies and can forgive bad plot elements, you will enjoy this movie. This movie is problematic, but to say that this movie is just outright terrible, I can't personally see that. I have seen much worse. Much worse. Even some worse movies that I like. And I sometimes will even get myself affected by all that nonsense, all that noise out there before seeing a movie and then seeing the movie and feeling like I have to express it. I wanted to express it for this, but I'm going to tell you, man, in the future, I'm not going to care about any of that nonsense, and I'm not even going to bring it up when I talk about it in reviews. The reviews for me, my Blacknerd reviews, they're about Andre and what Andre thinks about the movie. So for the future, I'm not going to talk about critics. I'm not going to talk about fans. I'm only going to give you the thoughts and the feelings and emotions that come from me personally to you, because that's what these are about. It's about my personal opinion, and just like everyone else out there, I can have my own opinion, just like you can have yours, and even if we are completely opposite or don't agree, it's okay, because at the end of the day, it's just a fucking movie to make some old businessman in a building in Burbank, California make a bunch of money that doesn't affect us in one way or the other. So it's not really worth the time and energy to get so mad about it. I think that's it. I think I've said all I need to say about this movie. Thank you so much for watching, and thanks for enjoying this, and I hope you did enjoy it. Alright, so the only thing left now is go see Now Live, isn't it? Y'all gonna make me go see that movie, ain't you? Thanks for watching this video. If you're new here, please subscribe. I make new nerdy videos all week, every week. I love you like a play cousin. I'm Addy 5000. Chain chomp, yo.
I like these reviews.
Today, my very special guest is current Blue Jays announcer Buck Martinez. All right, Buck, so I'm wondering, outside of Toronto, what's your favorite ballpark?
You know what? I love going to Boston.
Would they heckle you when you came up like, hey, I'm not your dad. Hey, what's your dad?
No, they only heckle stars.
Oh, don't you dare, Buck. Don't you dare say that. That's you. For me, you and the fans, I mean, what's your prep time on that hair? I'm thinking anywhere from 45 minutes to a day and a half.
Not a chance.
It does look great.
I'm blessed.
I gotta tell you.
Thanks.
Now, Buck, we all know that in order to play good, you gotta look good. Now, my friend Jorge here, he's got a big date tonight.
Jorge,
Okay? Can you help him with this, dude?
we'll do the best we can. We'll give him a little spray here, a little spray there.
Little comb. Yeah, I just use a little orange mousse myself, but I like what you're doing. It looks natural if he's in Parliament.
Yeah. Yeah.
Boom, look at that.
What would you think, huh?
I love it.
I think he's ready.
Jorge is definitely getting to first base with your help, Buck. I don't know what I like more, your voice or your hair. Do you just gargle honey? Have you ever considered any other voiceover work?
Not at all.
What about karaoke? I feel like you would
Oh,
crush it.
karaoke. I can't sing at all.
I got the lyrics. All you got to do is bring the buck. I'll set you up. This is Buck Martinez, album title In the Buck. Go ahead, Buck, it's on you.
This is an ode to being a catcher in the 80s. You walk up to the plate. I'm staring at your butt. Take a beat cut. I'm staring at your butt. Home run. Foul ball. I'm the catcher. I'm staring at your butt. I am the catcher.
And that's a cut. I mean, Buck, I think we got something here.
Well, Wade Jet, I want to thank you for having me. It's been a real pleasure. And you're a real pro. I'll work with you anytime, man. You're the best.
So, when do I get my Beer Friends for Life bracelet?
Hi, I'm Andre Blacknerd with a review for you. The reviews. A lot of you have requested for me to review the movie Nine Lives, but instead I'm going to review Suicide Squad. I'm going to give you the good, I'm going to give you the bad, I'm going to give you the nerdy. And this will be a non-spoiler review, or non-spoiler-ish review. I'm going to give a couple of plot points away because I just have to for the sake of what I'm trying to say, but I will not give away any major spoilers. And trust me, the plot points I'm going to tell you, you've heard about them before. But let's start with the good. I can tell you right off the bat, I like this movie better than Batman v Superman: Dawn of Justice. I said it. Come at me, bro. There's a lot of times I'm watching this movie that I forget until they make a reference every once in a while that this is in the same universe as Batman v Superman. Yes, there are dark moments here. Yes, there is a dark city, but it still has a unique style of its own. For a movie to have a lot of characters that many people, including myself, may not know the backstory of every single character, I love this crew. I love this squad. Squad goals. I would love to hang out with this squad. Well, maybe not hang out with them because they're pretty dangerous and scary and kill people. And we hear all this argument about should these superhero movies be dark, or should they be bright, or should they have comedy, or should they have drama. None of that matters when it comes to characters having personalities, and that's what works with this movie. Because whether they're doing something that's kind of dark, or they're doing something that's kind of funny, the fact that they have personalities, that's what gets you invested in them, and that's what makes everything they do, both the comedic stuff and dramatic stuff, work. And the way these characters are when they're in fighting mode, when they're in action, is also impressive because the movie kind of knows how to showcase each character. When it's Deadshot, it knows to stay on him so that you can see him just taking people out when he's shooting. When it's Killer Croc, he's a little bit more moving around, and you can see that it's very brutal because he's, melee combat. You got Boomerang throwing stuff, you got Harley Quinn with a bat and being unpredictable. This team is basically like the DC Comics version of an Overwatch team. Deadshot is your sniper in the back just shooting everybody around. Harley Quinn's like your tracer. Holly here, just you don't know where she's gonna pop up. You got Katana with a sword. Rick Flag is like your Soldier 76. Like this is Overwatch Suicide Squad style. The only thing they were missing was a healer and somebody in a mech suit. Can we get Diva and Lucio in this movie? But the fact that they had so many characters and that you could learn them all, that is very, very impressive. And I think what helps all of that is this cast. Will Smith has still got it, man. I don't care what anybody says. Yes, the man has had a couple of flops. Anybody that does acting for so long is going to have a misstep or two. But let me tell the truth. He is so good in this. He's Will Smith. It's very hard to not see Will Smith. So it's great that in this movie, I saw him as Deadshot. He is really good. You can tell that he wants to stay in this franchise. He's like, I need this DC money. Margot Robbie, love her as Harley Quinn. She's crazy and weird and over the top, but it's never too much that it's distracting. It's like that nice, perfect perfect balance of, you know she's crazy, but it's never like taking over the movie. And man, that chemistry between Will Smith and Margot Robbie, man, they got some hardcore chemistry. If I was Jada, I'd be concerned. You better call somebody in Warner Brothers and be like, can we get Fish Mooney in Suicide Squad 2? I need to keep track of things. Jared Leto's Joker, I like him. It's going to be hard, obviously, to follow the footsteps of Heath Ledger. He just had a very iconic version of the Joker. This is a different take, but I enjoyed him, and I thought he had good chemistry with Margot Robbie. Like, they felt like a couple. They felt like Mr. J, Puddin', and his Holly. It was fine. It's just you don't get enough of it to really make a true judgment. We'll see what happens when they have more Joker-centric stories in future movies. Adewale as Killer Croc was cracking me up. Everything that dude said is like, ain't you scared? What's up? I like her. He's like a cross between that old black man that sits on a porch and Leatherhead from the Ninja Turtles cartoon. I was waiting for him at one moment to just go, I guarantee. I even like Jack Courtney. You know a movie is doing a good job when it makes me like Jack Courtney. He is insane as Captain Boomerang. Jack, just be crazy dudes like this. Don't try to be that leading man. You need to be crazy dude. Go with it. Don't fight it. Jay Hernandez, just everybody, man. Everybody's really good in this. But man, Viola Davis. Woo! Amanda Waller. Oh my gosh, Viola. I love her as Amanda Waller. I hope that she is in more DC movies. I was so scared of her. Like, if I ever see Viola Davis in real life, I think I will now be scared of her because I'm not going to see Viola Davis like, okay, cool, when she does the show on ABC and she's done some movies and does some cool speeches. I'm going to be like, that's Amanda Waller. Get away from me. Get away from me. I just really like this cast. I think that they did a good job. And what's nice is that they worked well together. There's a couple of scenes where there's not even fighting. It's just straight the squad talking to each other. And I could have just watched that for a long period of time. You can tell the chemistry is there. You can tell that they're having fun with this thing. Everything seems to be working well. There's really only one character in the movie that I don't like. Unfortunately, that's the big problem with this movie. You ever watch a figure skating match and the figure skater is just doing these loops and turns and everything and just landing perfectly and you're like, oh, that's beautiful, that's beautiful. And then there's that one time they fall and they just can't recover from that. They keep trying, you're like, hey, you can keep trying, you look pretty good, but you fell hard, and there's just no coming back from that. Suicide Squad did that with Enchantress. You know your movie is doing bad when you've got this evil witch-powered Enchantress being your main villain, and I am more scared of just regular human Amanda Waller. Like, Enchantress, I'm like, bring it on. I ain't scared of you, witch, but Amanda Waller walks in, I'm like, oh, God. So the big problem with Suicide Squad is the one character I don't like, and that's Enchantress. I just could not get behind her character. I don't know if this is a thing with me with superhero movies when magic comes into play, but there's just something about it that feels disconnected from the rest of the movie. Like, even with superpowers that some of these people have, it just has this style that fits in its universe, and Enchantress just feels like this whole other level that we're basically not ready for yet. Like, it feels like that's a sequel level of movie and not first movie. Just the character just didn't work for me. And that would be fine if it was just this one random character in the squad, but the problem with Enchantress is she's basically the plot of the movie. Them trailers been lying to you, man. You thinking the Joker is going to be the main villain in this movie? I'm sorry if this spoils the movie for you, but you need to know this. The Joker is like a supporting character in this movie. He's basically like DLC for this movie. It's like you went to see this movie, you didn't really need the Joker in it, but you paid an extra $3 or you pre-ordered the movie at GameStop and they were like, well, now you get some Joker DLC. He is in there, but he is not the plot. Enchantress is the plot and Enchantress is the problem, because when they focus on Enchantress, it is all about plot point, plot point, plot point, and unfortunately, the plot is the same generic plot we have seen in so many superhero movies and so many action movies where there's one being wants to take over the world, so they go into the city and they land in a building and they build a machine and they shoot a thing in the air and it creates a portal that will then be the key to opening up something or doing something to take over the world, and the crew has to go in and figure a way to shut it down. How many times are we gonna do this plot? The whole time I was watching them do this, I was like, wow, is this happening at the same time when the Ghostbusters are taking care of their portal with Rowan over in this corner, and the Ninja Turtles taking care of this portal with the Technodrome over in this corner, and the Avengers are about a few blocks down trying to close the portal that Loki opened? How many times do we have to do it? And it's very frustrating to see it in this movie. There's so much unique characteristics about this movie in so many ways that it details itself that makes it stand out as a different type of movie from the other movies we've seen. So it hurts when it gets to that plot and it is the same generic stuff over and over again, and it kills the movie. It kills the buzz. You see sprinkles of it in the first half, so you're like, I'm having a good time, but every time I see that sprinkle, I'm going, this is going to be a problem later. I know it's going to be a problem later. And by the time it gets to the second half, and really the third act of this movie, it's all about that plot. All the other cool stuff falls to the wayside with the exception of one or two scenes, and it just bogs the rest of the movie down. And it's disappointing. Dang it, man. You were right there. You almost had it. Almost got him. There's some other issues with this movie. To say this movie is heavily edited is an understatement. I feel like Katana went into the editing room with her sword and just chopped this movie in several times. It is jump cutty. Things are missing. Characters walk away and then come back. Plot points are all over the place because they have to deal with this freaking Enchantress plot showing all the characters' backstories. You basically get the Cliff's Notes version of that story. I grew up with Harley Quinn. I watched Batman the Animated Series, and I remember when they finally revealed what her backstory was. I thought it was such an interesting story. With this movie, it's like, she's a psychiatrist. She worked with the Joker. They fell in love. Next. Like, wait. Oh, and I usually don't condone using your cell phone inside of the theater, but if you're watching Suicide Squad, turn on your Shazam app because this movie plays a pop song like every 5 seconds. If there's any moment that has to happen that doesn't have dialogue, it's like, cue some song from my Spotify playlist. Guess who's back? Back again. You don't own me. Come baby, come, come, baby, come, baby, you gotta give me something like The Mask here. Is The Mask in this movie now? Some of the songs work, some of the songs fit perfectly with the movie, and some of them are just like, okay, alright, we're playing this song right now. Great. I swear to God, please tell me if you've seen this movie, if I'm right or not. I swear there was a moment in this movie where I heard the song, or at least a remix version of the song, I saw you and him walking in the rain, you were holding hands, and I'll never be the same. I was like, really? We going, whoa, that's an antique. And now for the nerdy. Yes, it's in the same universe as Batman v Superman and the Justice League movie, so expect some references and other things that will remind you that that is the case. Stay around after you're watching the movie. Don't go away just yet. At least watch some of the credits. Not all of them, but just a good amount of them. And you may see some extra stuff as well. So I've heard a lot of critics have been very negative on this movie. Once again, it's another DC movie that's causing controversy between critics and fans and DC fans and Marvel fans, and I don't give a shit. You got me with Ghostbusters. You ain't pulling me back in. The problems I have with this movie are problems that I've had with a number of movies just this summer alone. The issues that I see, particularly in the plot of Suicide Squad, is the same issues I saw in Ghostbusters, the same issues I saw in Ninja Turtles Out of the Shadows, the same issues I saw in X-Men Apocalypse. There's just something about this particular type of plot that we're just seeing over and over again. It just hurts more with Suicide Squad for me because there's so much good stuff that I like in Suicide Squad. It's a bummer that it gets completely messed up by the bad stuff that it has on there. I think that there's enough good stuff in it that you will enjoy, but just be prepared that after a while, or maybe there's a point you should just leave. Like, watch the first half of this movie, and then be like, where's Secret Life of Pets at? Let me know if you're going to see Suicide Squad, or if you saw what you thought about it. And if you're new here, please subscribe. I make new nerdy videos all week, every week. I love it as a play cousin. I'm 95,000. Chain chomp. Yo.
Finally, a non-alcoholic beer that actually tastes like beer. Introducing Budweiser Prohibition Brew.
Alright, let's get this over with. Hi, I'm Andre, and I'm a Blacknerd. Blacknerd Reviews! Okay, Ghostbusters. Let's just do this. So, just so you know, this review is going to have positive things and negative things about this movie. As usual, I'm going to give you the good, I'm going to give you the bad, I'm going to give you the nerdy. It really was a struggle for me to even want to make this video. Here's the reason why I have issues. It's because, well, there's a lot of reasons why I have issues. So, I made a video a while back. I got to go to a Ghostbusters press event when the first trailer got launched, and I did my video saying the good, the bad, like they normally do, but apparently there must have been some filter on the video that allowed some people to only hear the positive things I said or only hear the negative things that I said. So at the exact same time, had people yelling at me going, oh, Andre loves the movie that he hasn't even seen yet. Oh, he must have got paid. He's a social justice, blah, blah, blah. And on the other side, I got people being like, oh, Andre's just a man-child loving something from his past, not accepting a new thing. He must hate women, too. And blah, blah, blah. Two sides attacked me for the same damn video with the exact same content. How? How did you do that, internet? I fucking hate you! I really don't understand. If you are mad at this movie because of nostalgia, I totally understand that, because I have seen many a reboot of my own be destroyed by Hollywood. But I cannot get behind the fact that someone really just hating a movie just because a person with boobs and a vagina and putting on a Ghostbusters suit. I watched the real Ghostbusters. I saw what happened to Janine. Extreme Ghostbusters had Colin Griffin. The Ghostbusters comics got all kinds of women dressed up as Ghostbusters. I've experienced it. Slimer busted ghosts once or twice. The real Ghostbusters. You pick up a proton pack once. I feel like a kid. I'm gonna tell you what this movie's about, y'all. It's not about feminism, and it's not about ruining your childhood. This movie is about selling Papa John's, selling Build-A-Bear Workshop, Stay Puft Marshmallow Aprons, selling slime-covered Twinkies, Ecto Cooler. This movie's about merch, y'all. Franchise and merch. Sony trying to make money. You can feel the Sony corporate overlord going, you must make this a franchise. So after all the argument, all the debating, all the yelling back and forth, Reddit threads, YouTube comments, here's the thing about the Ghostbusters movie for 2016. It is, without a doubt, average. It's not great. And it's not terrible. All that argument that you done, waste of time. But it's okay, because clearly Ghostbusters getting rebooted is the only issue that we're having in this world. There's nothing else going on in the planet right now to where this is the #1 priority. So I completely understand the reason for everyone spending so much time either fighting for or against this movie. Great work. You do America proud. Here's one thing I definitely liked about this movie. Kate McKinnon is hands down the best thing that I enjoyed about the Ghostbusters movie. Really loved her character in the movie. And the reason why I loved her character is because she is a character. So therefore, when she does comedy, it works because it's not comedy like, ha-ha, I'm telling an ad-lib joke, but more just, this is what her character is, and it's something her character would say. And the humor comes from who she is. I like that because that's what I liked about the original cast and the original Ghostbusters. And you can tell that they love Kate McKinnon in this movie. There's literally an action sequence where the other three Ghostbusters disappear, and it is just straight up Kate McKinnon the entire time. Ghostbusting, ghostbusting, ghostbusting. And you know all those CGI crazy action sequences that you saw in the trailers and you're all mad and like, oh no, that's messed up. They got those in the movie. Let me tell you right now, trust me, you will be happy when those show up. The reason why I like that stuff is because that's when you can see the movie enjoying itself and having some fun and taking pleasure in the action sequences and in the weapons too, because in addition to the proton packs, they actually create some new weapons in this movie, and that's what I thought was interesting because I was like, okay, well that's the new thing that you're adding. It kind of reminded me of, I haven't watched every single episode of Extreme Ghostbusters, but I remember in the pilot, I remember when Roland was like, hey, you guys got some cool tech, but let me upgrade you a little bit and make some cool new custom weapons. This movie does that too, and I think that was really smart because that was allowing them to try something different within this world of Ghostbusters. Kind of brought me back to that little kid Andre going, I want to be a Ghostbuster. When you see people running around busting ghosts, even if they look like CGI Scooby-Doo ghosts, in those outfits with those proton packs, you can't help but to be like, ah, that's like how I was in that video I posted where I was dressed as a Ghostbuster. Like, that's a childhood dream come true. And when you see it in the movie, that nostalgia hits you, and you're like, oh my gosh, it's amazing. And yes, if a girl gets to see this and she feels like now she can be a Ghostbuster because she sees a woman as a Ghostbuster, and that's great. There's not really super scary stuff, but there is parts that have like jump scares and jump screams. There is one part that freaked me out. I was like, and it happens to Patty on top of that, so I was like right there with her. I was like, I'm done. I got to go. If I was in that room and that happened, I'd be yelling just as loud as she was. Get you out, let's go! Leslie Jones, and there's a lot talked about her character in this movie. Leslie Jones is good, and her character of Patty is good. Like Kate McKinnon, she is a very specific character. It's very much Leslie Jones, but it is a very specific character. I believe her in this setting. There's a couple of scenes where she gets to shine. The movie just doesn't want to let her go all the way though. It's like every single time you think that she's about to do something amazing, that movie just comes in and goes, nope. Sorry, Patty, you showed us where the ghosts were. Done. And there was something that happened at the particular screening that I went to that is connected to this character that almost could make a video in itself. I might do that. The whole thing about her not being a scientist, at first I was like, it is what it is, because Winston wasn't one, and I still love Winston. But then there's some things that were said in this particular screening, and there's a couple of lines that are said in the movie that made me go, okay. There's really a part in this movie where someone goes, we're scientists, plus Patty. And I was like, well, see, I didn't want to make a big deal about it, but now that you're pointing things out, you started it. I was trying to keep my mouth shut. I had the race card in my pocket, just chilling. I was like, I ain't gonna pull it out today. I'm not gonna be that guy today. And then you gotta go and say something like that. I'm like, all right, well. But that being said, I love Leslie Jones' movie. The other casting fine, it's just the problem with this movie as far as its humor is concerned, is it goes for that typical comedy humor that we see nowadays, which is a bunch of ad-libs, a bunch of people trying to one-up each other on set, and some of it somehow makes it into the final film. And that's fine. I don't have a problem with that style of comedy, but it kind of takes you out of the movie sometimes because these are supposed to be defined characters, these Ghostbusters, and so when they start doing these ad-libs, you start going like, well, that's not a Ghostbuster anymore. That's just Melissa McCarthy or Kristen Wiig throwing out some jokes. They had defined characters, but then they would do these lines that didn't really work as a character, but they kept them in anyway because it's like, well, it's them doing some ad-libs, and it's funny. Some of the jokes work, some of the jokes are funny, and some of the jokes are not. We even saw this happen with Ghostbusters 2, where they tried to set up more humor type of lines, and it didn't work as much as it did in the first movie, which was just straightforward. These are the characters, and that's what makes it fun. Yes, there are some fart jokes, there are some body part jokes, there's literally a scene in this movie that kind of reminded me of one of the final scenes from Mighty Morphin Power Rangers, the movie, taking care of business, so younger people are going to love that stuff, but if you're an older person, unless you're the older person that thinks farts are funny, because there are some of you out there, I like more of the character stuff, for me, for this type of movie. Of course, this is a Sony movie. Everything is Sony. Your phone is Sony, your camera is Sony, the entire Times Square got Sony all over the place. But the absolute biggest problem that Ghostbusters has, the one that just really gets me, this movie is not in the same universe as the original Ghostbusters. It's a completely different universe, it's a completely different timeline, all the way to the point where there are cameos from classic Ghostbuster people playing completely different parts. And I gotta say, man, this would have been fine 5-10 years ago. RoboCop, I understood having to do as a reboot. You can't do some RoboCop, the Brady Bunch movie. I understand that you got to get the cast and then you got to get the original Brady actors to play different parts because they can't be the Bradys anymore. But this, we've seen how